if you've watched any of my other videos, you may have come across one called The Name Game, which I'll link to right here. It's going to give us a good foundation for what we're about to do. So the first component to building a solid recall is going to be minimal distractions. We want nothing going on. I've got a nice long leash here, a 25-foot leash. That's only going to be for safety. So in the beginning, I'm going to start with minimal distance as well. I'm going to go only a couple of feet away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite of what a lot of people do when they're trying to get their dog back, which is I'm going to run away from my dog. I'm going to run a few steps back and get him to chase me. I'm activating that natural prey drive within him so that he will find me more appealing than anything else in the environment. So I'm going to hold it, let him smell it, I'm letting him taste it, I'm letting him nibble at it, but I'm not giving it to him yet. I'm going to take a couple steps back and I'm just going to ask him to come with me. Come on, good boy. Perfect, good boy. And that's it. Boy. Yes. Yes. Good boy. Perfect. Now, one thing that I want to make sure is that when I'm doing this, I am more exciting than anything in the world. We want to make this into a game, into something fun. So I'm going to get down low. I'm going to crouch a little bit. I'm going to hold the treat out in front of me. I'm going to be really loud and exaggerated in my excitement to, again, make sure that I'm more exciting than anything else that's going on. So I want to get him into the habit, get him into the mindset of just following me when I'm trying to get his attention. And later on, we will start throwing in our command, but we want to make sure that we get in a couple of reps of this. That when I'm excited and trying to lure him with me, his job is to just follow me. It's just to come to me. Later on, we're going to start adding in some more distance, and that's when I'm going to start throwing in that recall command. Another tip is when he gets to me after the recall, if he doesn't have a long leash on, I'm going to grab his collar. And I'm going to give him love and praise and attention and all of that good stuff. But I'm grabbing the collar so that he has to stay here with me. I want him to get into the mindset of coming to me and staying with me until I release him. And I want to reiterate one more time that in the beginning we want to practice with minimal distractions. As time goes on and he becomes more reliable with it, he's doing 100% every single time that I call him when we're only going this distance. Once he gets it 100%, then I can start giving him a little bit more slack with the long line and challenging him a little bit more with it. And another tip being, when I do start throwing in that recall command, that come or here or whatever I'm going to use, I don't want to repeat it. I don't want to get into the habit of saying come, 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 because then the command becomes come, come, come. So if we're ever in an emergency situation, I'm going to have to say come, come, come before he knows what I'm asking. So I want to say it once. If he doesn't respond, and that's why when we're first practicing, we're using a long line, because if he doesn't respond, I can give him a little tug. Not enough to move him, just to remind him that I'm there, and so that I can break through that distraction and get his focus back on me. If we're practicing without a long line, the number one thing that I always tell people is we never want to actually say anything, ask the dog to do anything, if we know that he's not going to do it. Because all that's teaching him is to ignore us. So, if I ask him to come but he's super distracted, I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab him by the collar or the leash or whatever, and I'm going to bring him back over to the spot that I asked him to originally come to. I'm trying to teach him that you don't have a choice in the matter. If I call you, your job is to come to me. If you do not come to me, I will come and get you, and we're going to end up in the same spot anyway, so you might as well come the first time. Another tip to help with your recall is that oftentimes what happens is we recall the dog to end the game. We ask him to come to us, we hook the leash on him, we walk away. So what we want to do is periodically, when we're out practicing, or when we're out in the real world doing this for real, when we call him periodically, we'll ask him to sit, we'll give him love, praise, and attention, and then we'll let him go play. So that he doesn't get into the mindset of when I call him, game is over. Because that means that if he doesn't want to end the game, he doesn't have to come to me. So I want to make sure that occasionally I'm calling him just to keep him in the mindset that if I call you, good stuff's going to happen. That doesn't mean the game is going to end, and you can go off and play again. And a final tip for the recall, and I really feel like this is a final tip for anything that we do outside. We want to practice what's called existence socialization. I have a video about it, and I'll leave a link for it here. But existence socialization is just the idea of the dog being around stimuli, being out in public, without feeling the need to interact with dogs and people and all of that stuff. If they don't feel the need to interact with all of that stuff, it's going to be tremendously easier for me to keep their focus on me, for me to be more exciting than the rest of the environment. So thanks for watching this video on the recall command. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to click that red subscribe button. And join me on this journey of some minor dog training where I teach you how to train yourself to better train your dogs.